on the dentist chair today. And we met Maxey at church. A wonderful young man, second generation dentist. Got my teeth cleaned, identified some little, and we were talking about hotels and travel and what have you. And I told him a funny story about Susie and I on our honeymoon stopped at the Tremont Hotel, and I was parking the car, and Susie was talking to the front desk and said, "Hey, it is our honeymoon," which, by the way, absolutely positively was the case back in 2001. And they said, "Oh, we'll upgrade you." Well, they upgraded us to a suite. Oh my goodness. I'm guessing you have probably stayed in a suite. Floors were gorgeous. They were deep, dark, rich brown wood. There were chandeliers. There were fans. Not fountains. There were fans. And, of course, the bathtub had jets in it where you could give yourself a hot tub massage. Great view of the harbor with the ships, that is cruise ships, pulling in and out. And what was the offshoot of that? But what did we end up doing? Well, in my case, I was so moved by how pretty the floors were. At the time, we had an older house that had really dark wood that I had actually painted the floors myself or stained the floors myself. And at the time, I had no idea how to do that. Again, there are things that somebody with several degrees and some skill set should not pick up a paintbrush and pretend he knows how to stain floors without doing some research first to find out how to properly stain floor. The funny thing that happened was Max said, "Oh, I love taking lots of pictures of hotel rooms." Even though his name is legally Maxey, we actually do call him Max. And he said hotels have to be on the cutting edge with the design. They pay designers millions of dollars to keep their rooms up to date because people want to stay in the cutting edge of design. I had no idea. The thought had never crossed my mind. In my case, I commonly, with Susie, have stayed in hotels that have been in business for a good long while. Although once when Susie decided she wanted to see Gwen Stefani, who has a showroom there at one time, and I think is about to do it again. And I've rented a room online. Oh my, it looked over the Bellagio and Las Vegas, Paris, and several other things. It was a very modern hotel room with lots of space in it for an extravagantly reasonable amount of money. And my darling wife, Susie, really enjoys decorating. She's kind of settled in terms of how to do what she does. We have some movable chairs that make it very good for conversation. We have a couple of substantial couches that, thank God, do not move all that easily. And we have, as you can plainly see from my walls, this is a reflection of everything I've always done my entire life, and that is, if you enjoy art and you have some income you can spend on art, isn't it fun to collect art, no matter how much or how little it costs, to go ahead and invest in it and really just enjoy it? But on the dentist chair itself, Max and I talked about the hotel rooms and the experience of hotel rooms. He's just back from a trip with he and his darling wife, and they're just relatively recently married, about a year ago, and they went to Charlotte, South Carolina. I think that's correct. I always get the Carolinas mixed up. I need to go look up the geography. And they had a ball. They published lots of pictures on Facebook, which you could see, and it was quite grand, and the hotel looked like a lovely, comfortable place as well. So what's the takeaway from this, and what can you learn when you're in your dentist chair? Well, after they finish doing whatever it is they're doing, you might engage them in conversation and find out what makes them tick. It's been a hobby of mine. For years ago, when I went to a dentist in Oak Cliff, which is just south of downtown Dallas. Really, technically, it's a neighborhood in Dallas, although some folks don't think it is Dallas. Honest to goodness, it is. And I noticed a painting on the wall of the dentist's office. And I said, "Gee Willikers, that's a really pretty parrot. Did you paint that? And he said, yes, I did. And then he said, I always wanted to be not a dentist, but either an artist or a veterinarian. So being John Checky, I said, how on earth did you end up being a dentist? And he said, I did it to please my mother. I don't really hear stories like that. This was years ago. I don't really hear many stories like that. But I suggest to you, no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's a financial type or a dentist or your doctor or your mechanic or the painter or the people who are kind enough to help you with your lawn one way or another, to ask them, what's your story? How did you get into this particular profession and business? I'm more than curious. What's the purpose of all that? If we have some inkling of the why behind what people are doing, we get a better understanding if they like it, if they're going to stay current in that profession, if they're going to be there for a good long while so they can help us as long as we'd like them to be helping us. And just like me today, pick up some helpful hints and insights as to what you can do when you're on a trip. One of the things we're going to be doing, we're going to be celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary in July. It's a running joke which makes me smile like that because my wife keeps thinking it's in August. Now, it was 107 degrees in 2001 on July 7th when we got married, truly. And my car was in the shop. We borrowed Susie's car, which was a little Ford Festiva, which at that time was our big car. We had a great air conditioning system, and we went to downtown Dallas and pulled into the Palm restaurant. The car park people couldn't believe that we had driven a Ford Festiva with a dent in the driver's side door to such a fancy, schmancy restaurant. I joked with them. I said to be sure and be careful parking it because we didn't want any more dents in it. And we went and had a curious celebration because the Palm was having a sale. Steak and turf, surf and turf. And at that time, the waiter must have had something else on his mind, and the cooks must have had something else on their mind. Just for a curious thing. But getting back to what I learned on the dentistry and the takeaway associated with that. Get to know the folks that are helping you with the things that are most critical to you. Your dental health is extravagantly impactful in terms of your health. I've known one guy who had a terrible infection thanks to getting his implants cleaned, and he almost died. I know another guy who had a little pain on the side of his mouth, and they discovered he actually had a tumor further up in the mouth that was just putting pressure on the rest of his body in terms of how he felt in his jaw. So get to know the people that are helping you. Ask them what their story is. We are going to get more into telling you our story in terms of what actually catapulted us into forming Checky Financial. Y'all have fun, be well, and again, know the people that are around you, listen to their stories, celebrate the amazing lives they're leading, and perhaps they will provide you with even greater service and a greater experience, because getting a new pen is fun. Having a wonderful experience when you get a new pen is actually a memorable experience. So have fun, be well. This is John Checky of Checky Financial. You can look us up on checkyfinancial.com for full disclosures and see all the amazing things that we do on a regular, joyful basis. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to hearing your story.